depths of our heart tonight.
Oh, yeah.
worship you, Lord. Yes. You've got a right to praise Him. You ought to praise the Lord. You've got a right to praise Him. You ought to praise the Lord. You've got a right to praise Him. You ought to praise the Lord. You've got a right to praise
just give him some praise right now. Hallelujah, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, God. We thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. So wonderful to be in the house of the Lord tonight. For healing tonight, we have Sister Regina Todd, the family of Shannon C., other and unspoken. We have Tim Myers, the Ann Conley family, Nancy Starkey family, victory for over COVID-19, and blessings on America and Israel. So, as I was sitting up here worshiping God, I started thinking about all the wonderful things that happen in the Bible, about the healings, the miracles, the things God delivered people from. And as I'm thinking, man, God parted the sea so Moses and the Israelites could escape the Egyptians. God healed the blind man and all these wonderful things. And I remember in the Bible it says that God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He is still able to touch your needs. He is still able to work in your life. So tonight, as we go into prayer, if you have any need, no matter what it is, God can part the waters for you. God can make a miracle for you. So tonight, as we go into prayer, the pastor and elders are up here. And I ask you that you take that step of faith and go into prayer right now. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we call upon your name right now, Lord Jesus. We thank you, God, for all you've done for us, Lord Jesus. We thank you, Jesus, for all the miracles you've done for our lives, Lord God. We thank you, Jesus, for all you're doing right now, Lord God. We thank you, Jesus, for all the healings, all the miracles, God. Hallelujah, Lord God. We thank you, Jesus, for your spirit, God. We thank you, Jesus, for the spirit that's working within us right now, God. We thank you, God. Hallelujah, Lord Jesus. We thank you, Jesus. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name.
I can feel
God bless you as you're seated. Amen. Look over at your neighbor and give him a I love you high five. That's an air high five with the I love you sign. So good to see all of you here. I do want to mention a couple of announcements. One is we're asking all of our trustees if you'll stay with us for a trustee meeting after service tonight. This is real hot up here. And then the other is that we are getting ready. Actually, the day will be Saturday, will be the actual day of our church's 49th anniversary. But we're going to celebrate it on Sunday, the next day. And so we'll have Sunday school this coming Sunday. And I'm looking forward to hearing good adult Sunday school lesson. But we are looking forward to our friend, former district superintendent of both Pennsylvania and West Virginia, and a great bishop and honorary board member, and the bishop of the Bonneview Apostolic Ministries Church in Kaiser. Our friend, Brother Daniel Garlitz, will be coming to preach for us this coming Sunday night as we celebrate Christian Apostolic Church's 49th anniversary. So as you know, you can have a week of days, but you can also have a week of years. And so 7 sevens, 7 weeks of years makes 49. And so we're celebrating that 49th. And of course, you know what comes after that 7th 7 is the Jubilee year. So this is our last anniversary before we head into that Jubilee year and that 50th anniversary. And we're going to have a bit of a celebration this year, but we want to really turn the crank for a big celebration next year for our 50th anniversary. Our wonderful, our church is so blessed with so many great folks, so many great people. We're blessed with many great helpers and Sunday school teachers. We're blessed with elders and trustees. We're blessed with musicians and blessed with singers. And among all of those, we're blessed with the wonderful Sister Cindy Murphy. We're going to ask her if she'll come and sing. But before she does, I want to bring you real quick just a missions minute. And this one comes from our friends, our missionary friends in Paraguay and Peru. And they are reporting that Joey and Christina are going to be leaving them and heading to go as missionaries into the country of Chile. They said that we will greatly miss Joey and Christina and Hadassah. They have a new assignment and a calling to the country of Chile. They said Joey came to Paraguay with us as an 8-year-old boy, and after graduating from Jackson College of Ministries, he and Christina married, and they gave 17 years of service as missionaries, and now they're going to continue to be missionaries, but in the country of Chile. So this is a missionary family sending their children, their son, their daughter-in-law, to be missionaries in another nation. What a great testimony. They also mentioned this praise report. They renewed their marriage vows, and they had the privilege to teach over 500 couples at the National Marriage Seminar in Santo Domingo, Ecuador. And they give thanks to Brother and Sister Bolivar Bravo for inviting them to a wonderful time of teaching and fellowship. And we're so excited for what is happening with our missionaries in Paraguay and Peru. And we'll bring other reports to you of what I want to call a missions minute as we go forward from here. But let's worship the Lord with Sister Cindy Murphy as she ministers in song. We are so thankful for her and Sister Mimi. Amen. I'm so thankful that God has kept his hand on our church. Amen. Kept all of us safe. Praise God.
Praise the Lord. Isn't it good to be in church? Oh, I've missed it so bad. You know, when you've been raised in it all your life, and that's all you know is church. Even though there's a few times I strayed away, but I always managed to get back. And I'm grateful for the Lord for his mercies upon me. And speaking of Mimi, keep her in your prayers. She fell the other day, and she's been pretty stoved up. She just isn't getting any relief just yet, but sometimes it takes a few days. Just keep her in your prayers, though. I appreciate it. And, well, here I go. I haven't sang for a while, so excuse any blunders, but with God's help, and that's who I want to sing for tonight. Praise the Lord. Well, walking by faith and not by sight, sometimes hard to do. Just how long will I carry this burden before the Spirit of the Lord comes through? Then my mind starts to wonder just where that I could be. For all these years I've been serving the Lord, he's been taking good care of me. Oh, he knows how to take good care of me. No matter where this road may lead, walking with Jesus where I'll be before I know the problem. God already knows the need. Yes, he knows how to take good care of me. Oh, he knows how to take good care of me. No matter where this road may lead, walking with Jesus where I'll be before I know the problem. God already knows the need. Yes, he knows how to take good care of me. He's put food upon my table. He's been a shelter over me. From day to day, he's provided everything that I need. I don't have to be worried when I lay my head to sleep. You know, God never gets too busy. He keeps watching over me. Oh, he knows how to take good care of me. No matter where this road may lead, walking with Jesus where I'll be before I know the problem. God already knows the need. Yes, he knows how to take good care of me. See, he's put food upon my table. He's been a shelter over me. From day to day, he's provided everything that I need. I don't have to be worried when I lay my head to sleep. You know, God never gets too busy. He keeps watching over me. Oh, he knows how to take good care of me. No matter where this road may lead, walking with Jesus where I'll be before I know the problem. God already knows the need. Yes, he knows how to take good care of me. You know, walking by faith and not by sight is sometimes hard to do. Just how long will I carry this burden before the Spirit of the Lord comes through? Then my mind starts to wonder just where that I could be. For all these years I've been serving the Lord, he's been taking good care of me. Oh, he knows how to take good care of me. No matter where this road may lead, walking with Jesus where I'll be before I know the problem. God already
Amen. Before you're seated, I want to ask you to join me in something, either right now or later on. Sister Mimi will be watching this service. And I watched a video. Sister Murphy took a video the other day, and she went home and put the church service on for Sister Mimi. And Sister Mimi got right there in front of that flat screen watching that live stream, and she just lifted her hands and praised the Lord. And I want you to join me in sending a message to her. On the count of 3, we're going to shout, "We love you, Sister Mimi." And that message will get to her, I promise. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We love you, Sister Mimi. Amen. Praise God. Amen. God bless you as you're seated. I'd like to ask our wonderful tech team, AV guys, if you'll cue up that summary video that Elder Clayton Minton made. And if you need access to it, I know that we shared it on our Facebook page and YouTube page. But here in just a couple of minutes, we want to show you just a real quick video that Elder Clayton Minton made. But before we do that, I want to say how thrilled I am to see all of you here and how pleased I am to see the wonderful children here. Sister Vanessa, we are so glad to have you and your precious girls with us. And amen. And it just made my heart smile all across. I looked back there just now, and they're playing a little footsie game while they're praising the Lord and just grinning from ear to ear. And there's nothing wrong with having a time of enjoyment in the house of the Lord. We understand sometimes the move of God requires a seriousness, but there's nothing wrong with having joy in the house of the Lord. I want to say publicly how thankful we are for everyone that is being faithful. We appreciate it so much. And my goodness, didn't Kyron and all the team do a great job on that kids' church Sunday morning? Wonderful. And I thought that whack-a-mole game was so clever. That was so fun. And the kids just seem to just love that, just popping their head up and down, and maybe they get whacked and maybe they don't. Just great fun. Y'all have that video ready to show. Looks like you're getting close. Okay. It has sound to it in a minute. It'll start in a minute. There's no sound right at the start. Amen. That just a wonderful time we had, and We do want to mention that another real neat video has been made. I think maybe Sister Madison made it, I'm not sure. But we'll probably show that to you on Sunday. And so, but right now, let's get ready to go into the Word of the Lord. And so, let's get our Bibles, and would you join me in giving a great big Christian Apostolic Church welcome to Elder Clayton Minton as he comes. We are so thankful for the Minton family.
Well, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. The Lord has put a burden in my heart to do a media ministry. And this is only beginning, so hopefully there'll be better ones. Amen. So that anytime I'm out here, don't pay attention to me when I'm shooting video. Just pay attention to the preacher. Sometimes I get scared, get in the way. I don't want to draw any attention to me. Just want somebody else another way of sharing the word, but praise the Lord. I'm going to be reading from Exodus 4:29 tonight. The Lord is good. The Lord really moved on me in a prayer meeting. I don't know if anybody comes to prayer meeting. I haven't seen many because of COVID, but on Monday nights we have prayer meeting. This is very hot. All right. We have prayer meeting on Monday nights, and we have mighty moves of God there. It's something mighty. It's great. It's great. I mean, it's something more than just doing it at your house. And is it from 6 to 7? 6 to 7. And I encourage everybody to come. The Lord moves in mighty ways, and it is a great time. Anyways, from going right into the word of the Lord, in Exodus 4:29, I'm reading through verse 31, and it says, "And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped." I'm going to read 31 again. "And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked up their afflictions, then they bowed their heads and worshiped." If you would put your Bibles down in a respected place of honor and go to the Lord before the Lord in prayer with me tonight over this service. Lord Jesus, we love you, Lord, and we thank you for all that you've done in this service so far, Lord. Lord, we ask that you prepare our hearts for this message, God. Prepare our minds for this message, Lord. Help us to retain all the knowledge that we get from this, Lord. We love you, Lord, and we thank you for all that you do, Lord. Lord, let your will be done, Jesus. Lord, you're mighty and you're wonderful, and we thank you for all you do. In Jesus' name we pray. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen, amen. And you may be seated. I want to give honor to everybody that's here, and Brother Joseph, thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to preach. This was a revival taking place. This revival was of God. Their cry wasn't directed specifically to God, but it was a cry of distress. Remember, my title tonight is God is Nowhere, if you would put that up. God is nowhere. God is nowhere. That is my title tonight. I have a subtitle, Lighting Your World on Fire, but God is nowhere. So their oppressed condition appealed to God, and he came down and visited them. And the Lord said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows." The Lord could not move on because he's seen all the unjust happening unto them. But he would bring the children out of Egypt, because that is what his word said he would do. He called Moses to be their deliverer, and Moses didn't want to. God worked with him, and God worked with him, and finally revived his heart to where he would go and be their deliverer. God can revive us. God can revive us, and he wants to revive us. I don't know who this is for tonight. God can revive us, and he wants to revive us, and he will revive us. Amen. Amen. Quarantine was just God's way of having our family revival. It's just the way it was. And in my mind, I think that God set it up just that way so we could have a revival in our families, be strong, and then take it to church after we got out of quarantine and be strong. And I don't know what your thought is on it, but some of us were trying to run from it during that time. Some of us were trying to be busy. Some of us were trying to do different things. And just in the quiet time, God was reviving our family. Think about it. Now it's the church's time to see revival. Revival is coming. It's coming soon, but we ought to start preparing now. You better get your stuff ready. You better get your spiritual soul in shape. If there be anything unjust in your mind, it's going to leave you tonight in Jesus' name. If there is any bitterness in your heart, it's going to leave tonight in Jesus' name. If there's any unjust actions in your life, it's going to leave tonight in Jesus' name. You better get ready for revival. It's about to happen in Clarksburg Apostolic Church in Clarksburg, West Virginia. You better listen to me tonight. Revival is about to take place. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. God has confirmed it in prayer to me that revival is about to come. You better get anything that I don't know about you, but I am ready to see revival. The atmosphere is changing. Hallelujah. You better be honored that you can run the aisles for Jesus. You better be honored that you can move your muscles and raise your hands for Jesus. You better be honored that you can praise God until your side hurts and you can't raise your hand no more. You better be honored that you can cry to God, then drink 10 gallons of water after you're done because he cares about you. Revival is about to take place. I don't know who I'm talking to tonight, but you better listen. Revival is going to take place in yourself, and revival is going to take place in this church. You better get ready. It's going to happen soon, but get your life right. Just as when you thought, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Just as when you thought God was nowhere. Now read my title one more time. Tell me what that says. God is now here. First, it seemed like God is nowhere to be around, but when he hears your cry, when he hears your oppressed cry, oh, God just shows up. Hallelujah. God, I didn't think you were going to make a way when there was no way, but you showed up and you showed me how to do it. God, you made a way when there seemed to be no way. Hallelujah. Somebody better pray, plead the blood of Jesus, and call out to Jesus right now. There seems to be no way in your life, but you better come on, because Jesus is now here. You might have thought he was not here, but Jesus is now here. Hallelujah. Somebody, hallelujah. Somebody cry out to God right now. Lord, you're worthy and worthy to be praised, Jesus. Hallelujah. Your lost family members are about to come back to church. Your lost spouse is about to come back to church. The backslidden people that you've seen on these pews are about to come to church. Revival is about to take place. Don't limit God to these 4 walls of this church. Revival is about to take place. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Jesus has heard your cry. I don't know who I'm talking to, but Jesus has heard your cry. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I tell you what, this stuff right here, if it don't light your wood on fire, your wood is wet. Hallelujah. You better get ready. You better get ready. The atmosphere is changing. You better get your shoes ready. Men, you better get some loose dancing pants on. Women, you better get your bobby pins in tight. The devil is here to play games. He's here to steal your joy. He's here to steal the promises that God has given to you. You better claim in the name of Jesus. You better light your world on fire for God. You better hide his word in your heart. So you, like a wildfire, you better hide it in your heart. Hallelujah, Jesus. Somebody better get on fire for God. Somebody better get on fire for God. Let me tell you, time is short. Hell is hot, and the devil is here to play games. You need God now more than ever in your life. Hallelujah. Let it be done. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want won't be mad if you get up and run the aisles during this. I promise you that. You better get on fire for God so the devil don't want to come through the fire, because it's so much hotter than his hellfire is. Well, God, we're about to have a red hot revival. Somebody better listen to me tonight. We are about to have a red hot revival. After you change your heart and get in accordance with the word of God, we're about to have revival. Hallelujah. If you didn't know tonight, my point of the message is we're going to have revival. Hebrews 12:28 through 29, it says, therefore let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and thus let offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. The fire that consumeth my bones, you better put him in your heart. Somebody better get on fire for God. We're going to need it. When we come out of this, we're going to have a revival. We're going to have people who've never heard of God's word walk through this door, and we're going to need the revival that God's going to send us. We need a revival to renew our mind, to renew our heart, to renew our eyes. Somebody's going to need the revival that we are going to have, that we're going to experience. Hallelujah. We can have the music come up now. We are going to have a revival. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. And somebody could worship the Lord right now until your side hurts. And somebody could cry out to God until you need to drink water. And somebody could cry out to God until you get lost in his presence, until you get drunk in the Holy Ghost. Most of us here can't even say that we've ever been drunk in the Holy Ghost. Make that your plan. Make that your plan. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Jesus. Jesus. Hallelujah. Hell is hot, time is short, and it's not time to play games. You better pray like you never prayed before. You better fast like you never fasted before. You better fall on your face and call unto God like you never have before. My God is ready to do a miracle work. My God is ready. And some of you women would quit looking at your appearance and scared about what you're going to look like and just dance for the Lord. And men, if you would quit being scared of what you look like and dance before the Lord, those chains would break that have been on your family. Things would begin to happen. Miracles would begin to happen. My God is here right now. He wants to restart the revival right now. He wants to start. You better get ready. I'm telling you, folks. You better get ready. It don't matter how old you are, how young you are, how smart you are. The revival is going to be for everybody. God wants to put a fire in your heart right now. Oh, hallelujah. I don't care what it costs. I don't care how much time it takes. I don't care what the consequences are. I want to buy fire and the revival inside of me. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to serve the Lord with all my heart, with all my soul, with all that consumes me. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Revival is going to come, and I want this church to have a revival. I want this revival to be better than the one that was in the upper room. I want them to think, my God, are they recreating the book of Acts? Is this an act? What is going on? Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah. I want to reap the benefits that are coming from this red hot revival. I want to reap the benefits what's coming from this revival. Hallelujah. If you could come around this altar right now in the name of Jesus, ask the Lord to help your heart. Ask the Lord to set a fire down in your soul. Ask the Lord to baptize you with the spirit of fire. God wants to do a revival work right now, but He wants to do it soon, but let it start right now. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah. In the book of Leviticus, it talks about Moses and Aaron. And it tells him, God's talking to him. And one of the verses says, the fire on the altar must be kept burning. It must not go out. Every morning the priest is to add firewood and arrange the burnt offering of the fire and burn the fat of the fellowship offerings on it. The fire must be kept burning on the altar continuously. It must not go out. We better put our lives as an altar and not let the fire of God go out. You better take this word. You better take your reading in the morning. If you read your Bible, you better take your prayers and let it be put as a firewood into the fire of the Holy Ghost inside of you. Hallelujah, Jesus. We worship you, God. Lord, we thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Oh, yeah. You've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, we've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. We've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. Yes, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. You ought to praise the Lord. Well, you've got a right to praise him. Ought to praise the Lord. Oh, we've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. We've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. Sing it again. We've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. We've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. One more. Praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. Wow, we've got a right to praise him. We ought to praise the Lord. For he woke me up this morning and he started me on my way. Give him the glory. Give him the glory. He deserves it. Give him the glory. Give him the praise.
There's a Bible verse that says, there is a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Every single day that you make decisions without praying is a wasted day. Every single week that you live your life your way, in the way that seems right to you, you've just wasted another week. Those problems that seem insurmountable, if you would just soak yourself in the presence of God, He would give you solutions to those problems. But if you just want to keep on wasting your life suffering under problems and not getting any solutions, just keep on being careless and prayerless. But when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired and realize, if I just plug into the power source, God will change my life, and then you turn to Him, He will breathe revival into you. He will breathe new life and fire into you. Oh. And I'm not just talking to the backslider, folks. Revival starts in the church with the saints. And when we get to become red hot coals for Him, then that spirit of revival can flow through us and begin to touch people where we work and touch people where we go to school and touch people where we live. But let's not just pray, oh Lord, give them revival. Let's start with, Lord, give me revival. I need revival. Amen. Praise God. And folks, if you hadn't already picked up on it, you need to pick up on it quick. The Lord is signaling for revival, and He is looking who's going to respond. Don't lose out. Be like that song that says, pass me not. You need to make up your mind. If God is handing out revival, I'm going to be first in line to get revived. Praise God. Amen. Amen. I want to publicly say thank you to Elder Clayton, the tremendous Word of God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen. Praise God. Let's get our Bibles, and I want to also give time to hear from the Word of the Lord. Elder Matt, come, and whatever the Lord has given you, come and tell us. Folks, would y'all join me in making him welcome? As we get our Bibles, let's make him welcome here.
Let's give that hand clap of praise to the Lord right now. Hallelujah, Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. God, you are worthy of praise tonight, Lord Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. What a wonderful word, Elder Clayton. Wonderful. I don't know about y'all, but I am excited for revival. I'm excited for what God is going to do in this church. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to be reading in the book of Daniel, chapter 6. Sorry, I think I told them chapter 3 back there. I'm sorry. Chapter 6, starting at verse 1. And a lot of us already know this story. In fact, I think Elder JT had just preached on it recently, but it's a really good story. And it says in chapter 6, verse 1, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120. I'm sorry, guys. I grabbed the wrong thing there. Chapter 3 is where I'm at. I was right. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place tonight. I'm off to a good start, huh? Praise God. All right. Yeah, that's what I had Sunday. That's why. Anyway. Chapter 3, verse 1, it says, Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it upon the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, treasurers, counselors, the sheriffs, and the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that he had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music. I'm going to try. Ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time when all the people had heard the sound of the music, the nations and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that the king had set up. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, that hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that shall be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the provinces of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king, and Nebuchadnezzar spake, and he said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up. Now, if ye are ready, that is what time ye hear the music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then the king was full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Those men were bound in their coats and their hosen and their hats and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto the counselors, Did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? And they answered unto the king and said, True, O king. And he answered, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Let's give another hand clap of praise tonight as you're seated. Hallelujah, Jesus. So here we have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the king, Nebuchadnezzar, he had this idol, and everyone was supposed to bow down to it, just like I read, at a certain time when they heard the music. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they don't serve the same gods that the king served. They serve a better God. And so they said, no, I'm sorry, but we are not bowing down to that image or that idol that you have made. And let me stop there. An idol doesn't have to be some big golden statue. An idol in your life could be anything. It could be money. It could be anything, sports, anything you put before God can become an idol. And if you do not put those things down and stop worshiping them and start worshiping God, the one that gave you life, He will deliver you. So as I was saying, they told the king that they weren't going to bow down to that idol. And the king got really mad, and he had them turn that furnace up 7 times hotter than it normally is. I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot to me. I mean, you think about it, if it's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 degrees, and now it's 7,000 degrees. That's a lot. But so he had them turn it up, and then he had his strongest men that he could find bind up those three, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And let me stop there and say that sometimes in life, you might find a situation or a problem that seems like it has you, it's so strong, and the devil just has you tied up so strong that you think there's no way that God can break these bindings. But I'm telling you, there's nothing too big and nothing too strong for our God tonight. He can break any binding that might have you tied up. And so then they were getting ready to go into the furnace. And I can imagine, one of them, they had great faith. They said that God is able to deliver us, and he will deliver us from thine hand, O king. So they had faith. But I can see one of them. They were human, and he's standing there. We're getting ready to go in the furnace, and he's like, guys, there's no hope. This is the end here. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know what we're going to do. And then, I can see the other guys saying, no, it's going to be all right. God has this under control, building his faith back up because they knew that God was on their side. And so here they get thrown into the fiery furnace, and the king, he asked his other men, he said, didn't we throw 3 men bound into the fire? They said, yes, king, we did. He said, I see 4 men loose, and the 4th is like the Son of God. They went into the fire bound and all tied up, but when they looked in there, after God walked in there, they were loose. And I forgot to tell you, the title of my message is When He Walks in the Room. All right. Folks, you might be in some kind of situation tonight. You might be going through something in your life. You might be like them 3 that were probably saying, there's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. My situation is so bad. You might have that depression that you can't seem to get out of. It has you tied down. You might have an addiction that has you bound up and tied down. Your finances might have you tied up. But I'm telling you, church, if you would just wait on God, and when he walks into that room with you, when he walks into your situation, come on, somebody. I said when God walks into your situation tonight. Hallelujah, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I'm reminded of the story of Paul and Silas. And I'm going to read some of it real quick in Acts chapter 16, starting with verse 18. And it says in verse 18, and this did she many days, but Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the Spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came out the same hour. And when her master saw that the hope of their grains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers. And they brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble in our city, and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into a prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely, who receiving such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast into the stocks. See, they were out preaching the word of God. And I hope, we don't ever see this in our day here in Clarksburg when we're out preaching the word of God and then we get arrested and thrown into jail. But they were out there just ministering to others. What we do today, we go out and we minister to everyone. And that's what they were doing. And then all of a sudden, the devil, is whispering in other people's ears, and they cast them into the prison. And they just sat there and complained and cried all night. No, they didn't care who was around them. They didn't care who heard. They didn't care who saw. They praised God with everything they had. It says, and at midnight, Paul and Silas sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. They didn't care who heard. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed. They didn't care who heard them. They gave God all the praise that they had. They gave it everything they had. And then God knocked down those prison walls that had them trapped. If you feel that you are trapped in some kind of prison tonight, no matter what it is, no matter what your situation you're facing, if you feel that you are trapped, you come and you give God all the praise that you have, and He will knock those walls down, and He will loose any bindings that have you tied up tonight. Hallelujah, Jesus. If the music could come, please. Thank you, Jesus. God is so good to us. Hallelujah, Jesus. He doesn't have to knock our prison walls down. He doesn't have to loosen our bindings. He doesn't have to do any of that. He could say, you got yourself into this situation. Get yourself out. But we have a God that loves us and cares about us and wants to be with us. So He makes a way, and He is there with us 24/7, and He will knock down any wall that is put in front of you if you would just praise and worship Him. That's all He asks out of you, just to have a relationship with you. Yes, sir. I pray tonight that these altars would be full with people just worshiping and praising God. God is able tonight, folks. He's able to knock down anything that is in your path, any problem that you might have. He's able just to get rid of it, just like that. I'm opening these altars tonight. I'm going to go find a place to pray and seek the face of God.
Oh, God. go forth from this place tonight, encouraged and strengthened by the word of the Lord. The scripture tells us faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Lord. To anybody that's listening by way of live stream, you need to be in the house of the Lord. A live stream is good. It's kind of a second best substitute. But there's nothing like being here in person. But we need the word of the Lord. And there's studying your Bible, it's crucial. Reading your Bible, it's crucial. And spending time letting the Lord speak directly to your spirit, that's a crucial utterance of the word of the Lord. But in the midst of all of that, there is that holy unction. The Bible says that God chose by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. You need preaching. I need preaching. And I want to say thank you for preaching with the preacher. There ought to be something in the heart of the Holy Ghost-filled saint that rises up to say, preach to me, preacher. I've got to hear the preached word of God. Amen, amen. Amen. I'm so excited that we are finally it's almost like when you start coming out of a tunnel and the tunnel doesn't end immediately. It just kind of starts gradually widening out. And that's how kind of coming out of this whole COVID-19 thing is. We're coming out, but it's kind of been a little bit gradual. But I'm glad that we're getting to a place that we can begin to have Sunday school again and begin to have more of our folks to regain the confidence to come out to the house of the Lord. Amen. I do want to stress to you folks that regardless, there's some people that when it comes to this issue of quarantining and isolating and all of that, there's some people that lean strong one way and some people that lean strong another way. But this is what Jesus said, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, that you have love one for another. And here's the difference. In the church, there'll be people that lean toward ending earlier and people that lean toward ending later, people that lean more toward ending the isolation, people that lean toward continuing it. That's anywhere you go. But let the difference be that while they shoot at one another and call one another mean names over it and judge one another over their differences, that the church people say it doesn't matter if we have a difference of opinion on that. We love each other and we don't judge each other over it. Amen. Amen. Let it be that people can see that the church is filled with love instead of filled with condemnation, instead of filled with anger and judgment and fear and bickering. Now, if they want to bicker out there, let them bicker out there, but let's show them what kingdom life is like. Amen. Yes, ma'am. Yes. 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 Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Amen. Amen. One of my friends posted a quote today that I thought was so wonderful. They said, people are not really won to the truth by you proving to them how wrong they are. They're really won to the truth when they see such a light coming to you that they want to know what the source of it is. And if you really want to know the truth about it, people who are wrong, you probably already know they're wrong. It's not really so much they need told they're wrong as they need to see the light of God shining from us until they are drawn to that light and they want to reach the source of that light themselves. Amen. We do preach the truth, and the truth is by its nature exclusive. It's exclusive of evil. It's exclusive of lying. It's exclusive of false doctrine. It's exclusive of wickedness. And so the truth has an exclusivity to it, and therefore the truth has built into it some offense toward those that don't want truth. But in the midst of it all, I just remember the words of a wise old elder saying, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Amen. And which is to say, let's do our best to show kindness to people. Show love to them. Amen. Praise God. I have been so benefited to be in this church service tonight. Let's just take a moment to thank God for His word and His help. Oh, hallelujah. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Amen. Right before we dismiss, I just want to give you all a little praise report. I've lost 2 more pounds, and I'm about to take another belt notch up. Amen. That's just so wonderful. Y'all please pray for me that I'm not just walking down the road and I'll lose my britches all at once because I've lost weight. I think there's a Bible verse where Job said, the thing that I feared has greatly come upon me. I pray, Lord, don't let the thing I fear come upon me. Amen. I want to tell you folks, the Lord is helping us, and we are so thankful. And if you didn't get to hear that message that Pastor David Johnston preached Sunday night, you need to go back to our live stream and watch that message. And I want to encourage you folks, don't miss our 49th anniversary services coming up this Sunday. Be prayerful, witness for the Lord. Let's bring lost souls. Let's believe for an outpouring of the Holy Ghost. Come before service for prayer. Amen. And let's see what God will do on this special day. And I'm so thankful for our friend, Brother Garland's coming to minister for us. God bless you as we're dismissed in Jesus' name. Let's shake hands and be friendly. Amen.